Wait, let me sit up.
We all get
A little
organized.
dignity here.
I'm sitting very straight because I have a cracked rib.
Ooh, that hurts.
Weird the way I got it.
It's a vulnerable spot.
Yes. Well, Kevin, we met and talked during the Pirates of Penzance, which I enjoyed very, very much. But I must tell you also that you can't compare the two movies, but I enjoyed you just as much in The Big Chill.
Thank you.
Wonderful performance.
Thank you very much.
A wonderful story about friendship and people who've been separated and get back together under not the best of circumstances, but certainly very understandable and believable circumstances. Now, wanted to ask you, Kevin, in the 60s, what were you like, really?
Well, I was an aspiring actor, so I was very absorbed in the way young actors get sort of passionately absorbed in their work, and I was consumed by acting. So I was pretty flaky, I guess. No, I was actually very focused on that, but there was little else in my life. Before that, I was an aspiring musician. I was a real dilettante in college. But both music and the theater were both completely absorbing disciplines. So I spent my first 2 years of college in music, my second 2 years in theater, and I was just young and idealistic and hardworking.
Were you establishment?
Oh no, no one was in the late 60s in college. No, we were, the establishment was the enemy. It was evil. It was this great mass of negativity, which we're now all members of.
You feel now that you're pretty much establishment?
I think yes, most of the people who were anti-establishment then, there wasn't much else to do but eventually be absorbed by the establishment. I think most of us opted for saving the world from within by working within the system as opposed to trying to tear down all the walls. I mean, the revolution never happened, or if it did, it happened in a very subtle way, internally, I think.
This is an ensemble movie, 8 wonderful actors. But I wonder at the same time, Kevin, when you were making it, honestly now, didn't you feel in competition, especially with the other male actors?
No, that, I really honestly, that notion, it is absolutely of no use. When you're working, you work together, because if you don't work together, then you're working against yourself. If you don't work with the other person, you're just, because acting is reacting and interacting, and it's the quality of the stimulus is going to color the quality of your response. And the best actors, at their best, are going to bring out the best in you. So the idea of competing is anathema. You're both there, you're there to make that moment in that scene, and ultimately that whole project the best it can be. And you're going to do your best by bringing out the best in everyone else. So the notion of one person's succeeding more than the other there's no place for that, really.
I agree with you, there's no place for it, but as a human being, and I'm just thinking...
Oh, sure,
okay.
As a human being, as a human being, of course, I was very competitive.
Yes.
No.
No, but...
You want to do your best, and I suppose the worst part of all of us want to be the best one. Gee, it would be great if I was the best person in this scene. But that's such a small, icky little part of our humanity that one tries to subdue that and give oneself to an idea that is greater than one's own ego, if such a thing exists. And I think it did on that film. There's not one scene that I mean, there are times in a scene where the character might want to say something funny or suddenly get the attention and be the best in that way, in terms of entertaining everyone. But really, as an actor, it's very destructive. It's not creative at all to work that way. And I don't think anyone did.
You surely by now have read that interview in Movies magazine.
Yes.
And there's a quote there of Kevin Kline's referring to William Hurt where it says, Kevin Kline smiles and says of William Hurt, he was impossible. Was he impossible?
Absolutely not. No, that was a joke. That was said as because everyone was being so, we all loved each other so much that someone had to say, oh no, so-and-so was terrible, just to break the this frantic kind of false camaraderie which one can fall into, this blissful, idiotic nostalgia about, we all just loved one another and we just had the best time. I mean, one can generalize so much that I just felt I had to say something negative just to kind of get attention and to be competitive and to best him, to be better than him.
He is, though, in point of fact, he is a little impossible, isn't he?
Bill's wonderfully impossible at times. He was never on the set. He's absolutely professional on the set. Off the set, if you get in an argument with Bill, you're in for a real trip, because he's a very provocative, very indefatigable debater, and he will argue a point philosophically, metaphysically, emotionally, intellectually. He's very smart, and he's very passionate, and he's great to talk to because he gets so passionate that it's rare, you know.
Do you ever get a chance to give your
get a word in edgewise? Rarely, until you say, Bill, shut up, listen to me. And then he does, and actually Bill's the first one to say, I'm sorry, I talk too much. Go ahead, talk. And then you start, and he says, no. He's very passionate when he's arguing.
Well, Kevin, I have enjoyed talking with you again, and let me say, I think The Big Chill will be a big hit for you people.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed your performance very, very much.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Keep going, pause. Speak.
Action. And sound. Kevin, what were you like in the 60s? Were you establishment? What do you think changed you? By now you must be familiar with this interview in Movies magazine where you're quoted as saying, with a smile on your face, about William Hurt, he's impossible, is he? But actually, he is a little impossible, isn't he? But actually, William Hurt is a little bit impossible, isn't he? Do you ever get a chance to make your point? Okay, one more. Does he ever give you an opportunity to, does he ever give you a chance to make your point? Okay, that should do it.
Okay.
Thank
Right
you.
down.